BookTube. This is just a short video as we enter June, because my new novel, Stories We Tell Our Children, went to print this week and will be published on the 15th of July. And unusually, the cover was one that I had a major say in, because usually writers don't get very near the artwork for their books. Even in the big publishing houses, they might want final sign-off and agreement from an author, but they won't have much input into it being drafted. And there's very good reasons for this, because while authors can, through the writing of their novel, get sort of out of that organic process, get a strong visual image that sums up the key aspects of the book, that doesn't mean it necessarily looks good on a design manner, displayed on tables in bookshops or thumbnails online or whatever. So one has to acknowledge the eye of the designer plays an important part in the look of your book, and that may be not the author's greatest strength. But I suggested this idea, which had grown organically out of the book, and I was delighted that my publishers went with it, and that is what you will see if you pick up a copy of it. So the first thing to say is about its style, which is done in, I think, a way that will be fairly recognisable, certainly to a certain generation of people, in that sort of sense of boys' own adventure books, Enid Blyton, Famous Five, that sort of, late 19th century, turn of the 20th century style, and it might evoke sort of nostalgia, or at least memory and recognition, in certain generations. So it's a very sort of gentle chart. It is for children. These are ostensibly, that style was books for children. No adult would pick up a book with that type of thing, and under the mistaken impression that it was an adult novel. But against that, obviously, it's quite a stark and severe central image, that of a toddler who's being read to by his mother. And the toddler is ripping pages out from the book unseen by the mother and feeding them to an older sibling, for that sibling to put into a bonfire. The whole tableau is sort of suggestive of a little family outing or a picnic or a camping trip or whatever. And, fires and art do not have a very good associative history, be it the 15th century Bonfire of the Vanities, conducted by the monk Savonarola, through to the Nazi book burning of the Sauberung. And both of those were very much movements rejecting anything new, anything radical. In the case of Savonarola, it was regarded as sinful. In the case of the Nazis, it was regarded as deviant, which normally meant Jewish. But if you think about some of the authors, the ideas of Marx, the ideas of Freud, these are very radical ideas that hadn't been that long in circulation. And the Nazis very much wanted to purge their society, as did Savonarola, who wanted to keep the Catholic Church pure. So this sense of purity, these were purgative fires against anything new, anything that might sort of threaten the status quo. And that's really why I've plumped for this image, because I want to challenge that notion. Because the thrust of the book explores whether the narratives that we feed our children in their development are still relevant in the complex 21st century. So that could be from early reading primers with pictures of animals, some of whom are endangered, because of our environmental predations, fairy tales, folk tales, nursery rhymes, through to books that you read at school, through middle grade, until you develop as an adult reader. And also not just sort of literary sources, but also non-literary sources of narrative, such as advertising, such as boy band lyrics, such as the sort of the equivalent of the American dream offered to boys in the UK is becoming a professional footballer with a multi-million-pound contract. Whose narrative is that? The parents dreaming of the money, or is the child's love for the game what's really in play? So it's all these sorts of looking at different types of narratives in 30 thematically interlinked short stories. That is what the novel is. And it's asking, you know, the world has moved on, so that the moral and presentation of knowledge that we get from fairy tales and things like that, does it still hold up when, you know, a lot of the modern world is conducted online, where there are predators, and not just sexual predators, they can be data predators, hackers, just commercial, you know, bombardment of you with, you know, offers of buying stuff, getting you to buy stuff. You know, how well do these narratives set up children for that type of world? So that's what the whole book is. It is asking the question, do we need to change the narratives, the fixed narratives, you know, because fairy tales, while once they were very sort of liquid and changed because they were oral, as soon as they were set down and codified, you know, they became fixed. So do these early narratives that we feed children, do they need changing? And obviously, you know, the Bonfire of Vanities and the Sauberg book burnings very much wanted to stamp down on that. So that is why I've gone for that image. So I'd be very interested to know what you think of it. I mean, people who know me from BookTube know that I would tend to always to veer down the artistic and literary road less travelled. That's why I've gone for, or it fits in with my temperament, that I've gone for such a daring, stark image, and I'm just amazed that other people were happy to go along with that, i.e. my publishers and their designer. So let me know what you think, and I will probably make 1 or 2 more videos about the book before its publication, one just talking about it in a bit more detail, and the other maybe a reading one of the stories. But we'll see how it goes. Okay, so thanks BookTube, till next time.